All right, let's talk about an industry that was famous for one thing: losing unbelievable amounts of money. And then let's talk about the one airline that came in and completely, totally flipped the script.
You know, Warren Buffett once said this, and for pretty much a century, he was absolutely right. The airline industry was a black hole for cash, a place where money just went to die. It was packed with brutal competition, crushing costs, and a constant parade of bankruptcies. It was, to put it simply, a terrible business to be in.
So that begs the question, right? In this financial graveyard, how in the world did one scrappy little airline from Texas manage to not just survive, but build an absolute fortress of profitability? How did they pull off the impossible?
Get a load of this number: 47. 47 straight years of profit. In an industry where going bankrupt was practically a rite of passage, that record is so absurd it honestly looks like a typo. But it's not. So let's break down exactly how they did it.
Okay, first things first. To really get the genius of Southwest, you have to understand just how fundamentally broken the airline industry was. Before them, flying was this sort of luxury experience, but it was designed to make things easy for the airlines, not for you, the passenger.
See, the whole system was built around this thing called the hub and spoke model. So to fly from, let's say, Austin to Orlando, you'd almost certainly have to fly to a massive hub like Atlanta first, change planes, and then continue on. It's like having to go to the main bus station downtown just to get to the neighborhood right next to yours. It was complicated and, frankly, super inefficient.
And man, this system was a total nightmare for efficiency. One little snowstorm at a major hub like Chicago, and boom, delays would ripple across the entire country for days. But the real killer? Planes would spend hours just sitting on the tarmac. And you have to remember, a plane on the ground isn't making money. It's just a very, very expensive tube of metal, burning cash every single minute.
So while all these industry giants were tangled up in their own complicated, expensive mess, a tiny revolution was being sketched out in a Texas bar. It's a classic David versus Goliath story, and it all started on, of all things, a cocktail napkin.
The legend is true. Back in 1967, a guy named Roland King grabs a napkin, draws 3 dots for Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio, and connects them with straight lines. He turns to his lawyer Herb Kelleher with an idea that was so simple it was radical. What if we just flew people directly between cities? No hubs, no complicated connections, just cheap, direct, point-to-point flights. That little drawing, it basically declared war on the entire industry.
Now here's where it gets really fascinating, because that one simple idea, flying point to point, forced them to build a business that was just ruthlessly efficient right from the very beginning. They had to rethink every single thing about how an airline was supposed to work.
And it all started with what was probably their single most important operational decision. While every other airline had this complex, messy mix of different aircraft, Southwest made a brilliant choice. They would only fly one type of plane: the Boeing 737.
This is just genius, right? I mean, think about it. Your mechanics only have to know how to fix one model. Your spare parts inventory is incredibly simple. All your pilots can fly every single plane in the fleet, which makes scheduling a breeze. Every gate is set up the same way. This one move created these huge cost and speed advantages all across their operations.
This obsession with efficiency led them to become absolute masters of the turnaround time. That's how long a plane is at the gate between flights. While legacy airlines took over an hour, Southwest got it down to a science, aiming for around 20 minutes. Why? Because planes only make money when they are in the air. The more flights you can get from each plane per day, the lower your costs and the more you win. Then they applied that same ruthless simplicity to the customer experience. They stripped away everything their specific customer didn't really care about. No assigned seats meant people boarded way faster. No meals meant lower costs and less complexity on the plane. They focused on one simple promise: we'll get you where you're going safely and on time for a really low price. Everything else was just noise.
But wait, here's the catch. All of this operational genius, the single fleet, the fast turnarounds, as brilliant as that all was, it wasn't even their biggest advantage. They had a secret weapon that nobody else could figure out how to replicate.
That weapon was its culture. Founder Herb Kelleher lived by this motto. He built the now legendary LUV culture on one simple, powerful belief. If you treat your employees like gold, they'll turn around and treat your customers like gold. The profits, they'll take care of themselves.
And this wasn't some fluffy slogan on an HR poster. Fun was an actual business strategy.
Employees were empowered to solve problems on their own without asking for a manager's permission. And through profit sharing, they were owners, not just workers. This created this incredibly motivated, loyal, and efficient workforce that customers absolutely loved.
So you're probably thinking, if the playbook was this successful, why didn't everyone just copy it? It's a great question, because a lot of airlines tried, and pretty much all of them failed or struggled to compete.
Well, here's why. For a legacy airline to truly compete with Southwest, they couldn't just copy one or two things. They would have had to completely abandon their entire business model. They'd have to get rid of their complex fleets, abandon their expensive hubs, and somehow completely overhaul a rigid, formal corporate culture. They were just structurally incapable of becoming that simple.
And that's really the ultimate takeaway here. Southwest's success wasn't about one single thing. It was about how everything worked together in a beautiful, simple system. Simplicity wasn't just a feature of their business. It was the entire operating system, from the planes in the sky to the people on the ground.
This story is just such a powerful reminder that the most revolutionary ideas are often the simplest ones. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are the complex, inefficient, so-called unbreakable rules in your industry that are just waiting for someone to come along and challenge them with a simple idea sketched on a napkin?
That's our breakdown of the airline that broke all the rules. If you enjoyed this and want more deep dives into the companies that changed the game, make sure you subscribe to Finologix. Thanks so much for watching.
All right, let's talk about an industry that was famous for one